Good afternoon, guys. It is July 23rd, 2022. On this video here, first of all, I want to apologize for the lack of videos lately. Life has just been busy, as I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Sometimes there's just periods of times in our lives that are just busy and stuff like this goes onto the back burner. But I wanted to come on here and do this video today to talk about something that um, I've touched on a few times before, um, and that is taking care of elderly family members. Now, I'm not talking about you know, enabling or, putting up with family members who are trying to take advantage. I'm not talking about that. Because I've heard some people say to me in the past, oh, well, what if they're just being jerks? And what if they're just being this and that? Okay, I understand that that can happen. I understand that not everybody is willing to do their part. I understand that. Fortunately, for me, I've never experienced that. So, I can't really relate to that too much, but I do understand that it happens. But you shouldn't use that as an excuse to not do your part to help someone who really needs help. Because unfortunately, I see this way too often. Kids will get, and I'm talking about adult children, I'm not talking about little kids and stuff, because obviously we're talking about, you know, elderly parents that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s. Sometimes they'll just get so detached from their parents and basically just disown them and dump them. And I'm sorry, but I understand that there are certain circumstances that, there's been abuse, there's been neglection, there's been a lot of things, but it's still not a reason to just disown them. I mean, especially if they've changed and they're willing to apologize and they're willing to change. Just love them in that. Now, I understand if they're just flat out not willing to change and it's doing more harm than good at that point. But what I'm saying is, don't just dump people, and especially if they've done nothing bad to you or anything like that, and you're just dumping them just because you don't want to deal with them. That is wrong. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. That's one thing that I just do not understand. Nobody can make any arguments to me that would be even remotely logical. Nobody can convince me. It's horrendous. I mean, why in the world? Think about if you as a child were dumped like that by your own parents. Just think about that if it was the other way around. How would you feel if that were the case? Because honestly, it's basically what you're doing. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to put them in assisted living, in nursing homes and stuff. Because I understand that there are certain circumstances. I totally get that. But that does not mean that you completely disconnect from them and you completely neglect them and you dump them and you just don't do anything with them ever again. That is wrong. It's just wrong. I mean, it is disrespectful, is what it is. It's utter disrespect. Because I want you to really think about this. Our parents, when we were growing up, they had a huge responsibility. Huge. I mean, think about what they had to do. They had to feed us. They had to change our diapers. They had to bathe us. They had to brush our teeth. They had to take care of us. They had to clean up our mess. They had to do our laundry. They had to do all of that. They had to do that. And they did a lot of sacrificing in their life for you, to raise you, to take care of you so you could be where you are now. Why can't we give back a little bit to that generation and serve them in a way that they need to be served? I'm not saying that they may need like all kinds of assisted living situations. I mean, it depends on, where their health is and whatnot. But you've got to give them some respect. I am absolutely sickened when I see elderly people just dumped and everything, and the grandchildren aren't involved, the children aren't involved. It's just sickening. Absolutely sickening. And I want to talk to the grandchildren too, who might have grandparents still. Don't waste your time avoiding your grandparents. Do not. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I think that's one of the worst mistakes you could ever make. Because, at least for me, the bond between me and my grandmother was so strong that any chance and opportunity I had, I was more than happy to serve her and to just bless her. Because I only had her the first 20 years of my life. Think about that. You have the rest of your life to do whatever you want. And I'm not saying you can't have a life. I'm not saying you can't do other things. I'm not saying you can't, do a few things for yourself. But when your parents and grandparents need help, be available to help them, please. Because I can tell you, I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, all in there. Most people in that age category are so consumed with trying to get high scores and high grades and doing all this stuff. And I'm not trying to like boast or anything like that or pump up my chest. I'm just giving you the honest example of where I was. Where a lot of people are so consumed in graduating high school, getting into college, getting their driver's license, getting their car, getting out on their own and stuff. I pushed all of that onto the back burner. That was not even a consideration up until like the last couple of years. I'm just now thinking about it at 23. And it's not because, I just don't want to do it or I'm just lazy. It's just, it wasn't important to me back then because I still had my grandmother around and I knew that her health was declining and her time was short. So I did not want to waste my time trying to do all this stuff for me when I knew that my grandmother, her time was short and she needed assistance and help. Off and on, I didn't live with her, but I would go visit her and stay for a couple weeks and help her out with stuff around the house that I could. Cook for her, clean for her, and just be there to just show her that I care. Because honestly, you have your whole life to do whatever you want to do. Like I said, you have your whole life to do whatever you want to do. You know what? Working, driving a car, getting my own place, that is still going to be out there. It doesn't have to happen right then, right there, right now. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to do it at that time or whatever. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just kind of like get it into perspective and prioritize what's most important to you. What was important to me was that I cherished and valued that limited time that I knew that I had with my grandmother instead of just blowing it on trying to get ahead in life, because my life at that point was not as important to me. It really wasn't. Yes, I wanted to do some things, but I just hold off because when I can sense that a loved one's health is declining and their time is short, I want nothing to do with my life. I really don't. Because I value somebody who is very close to me so much that I really am not willing to do my own thing. I mean, really. And some people will say, well, you gotta live a little. I don't know how loving your grandparent and caring for them and being there for them is not living. You know, again, like I said, I'm going to say it again. You have your whole life to do whatever you want to do out there. But if you only have this small window of time to spend with a family member who you know their time is coming, cherish that time. I'm serious. You know? And like I said, I'm not, somebody who's like, man, I just don't want to work. I just don't want to do this. I just don't want to do that. You know? I absolutely would like to do that one day. But that was not the main priority for me at that time. Yes, I was still thinking about it. I still was working on getting in that direction. But I really slowed down on that when I still had the time for my grandmother. And then when she passed away 2 years ago, went through the grieving process, went through all that, and now I'm more open to doing my things that I need to do for my life. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't like it, then fine, whatever. I mean, I want to just speak from my heart and the way I feel, because, valuing other people over yourself, and it's not to say that you put yourself down, because honestly I kind of struggle with that, but if you're so consumed in your own life that you can't even slow down or stop to check on an aging loved one, I think you need to check yourself and evaluate, what is taking priority here, because honestly, like once they pass, that is it. You don't get that time back here on this earth. If you're a believer in Jesus Christ and they were a believer in Jesus Christ, you will reunite with them at the throne of Jesus one day. But you need to value that time that you have with them here on this earth and encourage them, love them, point them in the right direction if they're not going in the right direction. Give them every chance. So, it's really, really important, guys. So anyway, I'm going to cut it here. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.